Thank you for the invitation, first of all, by the ECR and the R Party, especially special thanks to George Simeon and Dragos as well for all the organization. And thank you, Christine, for the introduction. I have a nice surprise for you. I'm going to be praising Germany's role in our civilization. Because the truth is that we often talk about being the heirs of Greek philosophy and being the heirs of Roman law and Judeo-Christian values. But we don't often talk enough, in my opinion, of being the heirs of Westphalian sovereignty. And Westphalian sovereignty is essential for the time in which we're living. Because this city where we stand, where we meet today, is a city that is dedicated to eradicating the principle of sovereignty, the sovereignty of states. Why is sovereignty such an important concept? Because we, sitting here today, are nationalists. We believe in the European nation-state. And that nation-state cannot exist without being a sovereign, independent state. What other examples do we have in the world that are opposite to ours? We have the multi-ethnic tyrannies of other continents. And the truth is that in Europe, because we did not have these multi-ethnic tyrannies, because we had sovereign nation states, we were able to treasure and ensure the survival of these multiple precious national cultures in our continent. We fought against each other very often in Europe, that is true. But remember that we also fought side by side against universalism, what we today call globalism. We were in league against Islamic despotism. We coalesced against Jacobean terror. We allied against the totalitarians of the 20th century. As Marx himself, in fact, admitted, the hard-working peoples tend towards conservatism. And the white banners of conservatism have saved Europe time and time again from the attempts at uniformizing it with some dystopian doctrine. And now in the 21st century, we have to face this threat of universalism again. And this threat does not come from one particular state, it does not come from a foreign empire, it comes from within, from parallel bureaucracies that we ourselves built and that we still fund. We conservatives fund the institutions that seek our demise. The city where we stand, Brussels, is the cradle of this progressive totalitarianism that we have all experienced over the last decade. It was the EU's extremist mass immigration policy that destroyed security in our nations, that destroyed social cohesion and demographic coherence. It was also Brussels' quangos and paid propaganda that devastated the freedom of speech in Europe with radical censorship, even coming to the only redoubt that we had left after having lost our role as conservatives in the mainstream media, on TVs, on radio. They came after us in social media. And of course, it is also this super-nationalist intolerance that is, I believe, stifling our economic growth. Because the fonctionaires of the institutions have imposed so many regulations, they have imposed so much conditionality on foreign trade that we are not innovating anymore, and we are losing the rates to our competitors in Asia, and yes, also in the United States. It is important to understand this, because these quangos, these quasi-NGOs, they promote only the culture of death, and and euthanasia. Make no mistake, Brussels is not a centrist city, it is a Marxist city. It is the Eurocrats' fanatical obsession with uniformity that is driving more and more peoples away from the EU. They've lost the UK, but they won't quit. They will not stop. These quangos, they guilt-trip Europeans. They smear the accomplishments of our civilization. Racism has been resurrected against Caucasians. And feminism has made our societies more toxic than ever, destroyed our birth rates, condemned women to depression and solitude. To stand against universalism is to combat globalism. It means to promote particularism, to defend the national liberty and the sovereign interests of the peoples, plural. There is no such thing as a European people. That is anachronistic, that is mendacious, and that is extremist. It is propaganda. The EU has made use of concepts such as benchmarking and integration. And these subvert the authority of the nations, they politicize our diplomacy, and they even undermine our foreign trade. The EU has long ago surpassed its commercial mandate, and so have the EU courts and the EU agencies. They are now more concerned with biased, left-wing notions of human rights and they have long forgotten their simple mission of harmonizing community commerce. Defund the EU, defund Brussels, dismantle at once the permanent structures that spend their time conspiring on how best to overcome the authority of the nation states. And they even even take the luxury of insulting nationalists within these very walls with public money. Now, you might not know, I studied in the College of Europe. I did a traineeship in the institutions. I worked in this city. And I've been to this building and seen exhibitions paid with our money insulting nationalists.
Yeah.
Imagine the absurdity of insulting nationalism. In Europe, the birth of the nation state. I mean, if we cannot have nationalism in Europe, where else would we have it? It makes absolutely no sense to try to uniformize, standardize, integrate this content. It might make sense to integrate other continents, but certainly not ours. Only in the lunatic heads of ultra-socialists could such an idea make sense, possibly make sense. And who best to represent than Ursula von der Leyen, the embodied example of failing upwards. I would invite you to ask fonctionnaires and the people of Brussels, the Eurocrats, where their loyalties lie. Because I can assure you that they will never tell you that they would fight, they would give their lives for any nation state. They have no allegiance whatsoever to nations. Their loyalty is only to corrupt, abnormal, and corrosive bureaucracies that we put in place. Look at what they did to this city. We can look out the window. It has a great view from this meeting room. Look out this window, and you will see that Brussels has been transformed from a beautiful 19th century imperial architecture into this jungle monstrosity of inorganic glass, metal, and concrete. And this, my friends, is what they have in mind for all of us. I say it is high time we unite again for another struggle for the preservation of our way of life. The communist, as best as written, postmodern architectural cult of the ugly gave way to a renaissance of traditional beauty on the other side of the Iron Curtain. And I say the time has come to bring that counter-revolution to Western Europe as well. Thank you.